Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today we have Lucas Litton with us. He is a Chief Executive Officer of Scanstr Interactive. So welcome to the show, Lucas.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, thanks for coming on, and we'll dive in. The first question I have for you, Lucas, is what's the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Yeah, so when I was a sophomore in high school, I was extremely lazy. I never really wanted to do the work. And I went to this competition that was with about 500 students in Orlando, Florida for business. And I practiced for months, but I couldn't seem to figure out what I was actually going to speak about. I didn't know the material. Somebody else wrote it for me. So when I did get to the competition, we were in a hotel room, and I was sitting in the hotel room, and they locked me in there till 4 a.m. and made me practice my lines over and over again. And it was so tedious, but I ended up actually making it to finals the next day. So the reason why this is so important to me is because I never really take time for granted anymore. I work hard, and I try to save every minute, and every minute counts in what I do.
And what's the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
So in my industry, I think that the best thing that you can have is a good community and a lot of exposure. So what I mean by that is, with a good community is a great team behind you. So like I have my chief financial officer, Brian Garcia, and he basically, as I'm struggling, he takes me and he lifts me up. And also having a good team, as in employees, you really want to pick out the great people, good personality. And then when it comes to exposure, you want to talk to as many people as you can to make sure that you get as many downloads as you can, or get an interview, or, hedge fund interviews, stuff like that.
And what's your best piece of overall business advice, so not necessarily industry specific?
Yeah, so my overall advice, it's kind of in my industry, but I think that you can't do it alone. I always used to try to build products by myself, and it never worked out. So now that I have somebody by my side that could help me fund everything that I'm building, have the same vision as me, everything seems to be much easier.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
I would tell myself to never give up on my vision. When I was younger, I used to build hundreds of apps a year, and I would start them, and 2 weeks later, I would start a new project, because nothing feels better than starting a new project clean, but it doesn't feel better than finishing the product and actually having a team behind you.
And in your opinion, what's the key to happiness?
Yeah, so you shouldn't work for money. You should work for what you actually love doing. I see a lot of people that try to make things for the quick buck, but if you're really trying to run for money, you're probably going to get a job that just makes you very miserable and depressed.
And what's the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
I don't really read books. I listen to Audible, and I listen to it when I'm walking, so I put it on like 2 times speed so I can get more information from it. Yeah. But my favorite book is Crushing It from Gary Vee, and I learned that you got to hustle. You can't just go into a business and think that it's all going to come to you. You got to work as hard as you can every single day.
Yes, man. I just want to chime in real quick there. Love that you just said that. I literally do the same thing, like 2-hour walks every day, 2 times speed on Audible. So mad respect for that. And what's your favorite quote and why?
So my favorite quote, this was actually my senior quote in high school. It was, hustle until your haters ask if you're hiring. And the reason behind this is because I love building apps, and I love talking business, but everybody seems to try to put me down and say that I can't go far. And with that, it's like I tell people that I'm opening an office in 3 months, and out of nowhere, I'm getting so much hiring requests from all these people that never thought that I could do it.
Thanks again for coming on, Lucas. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where's the best place for people to find you online?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn just by searching my name. But also, if you want to email me, I answer all my emails. It's lucas@scanstr.com.
Perfect. Thanks again for coming on, Lucas. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.